They call me a monster now, a killer, a name people whisper in fear. But no one ever asks what it felt like to live as prey before I ever struck like a predator. I was born into chaos. My father was a convicted child molester who hanged himself in prison. My mother abandoned me when I was just a baby. I grew up being passed around, used, and thrown away like I meant nothing. By the time I was a teenager, I was living in the woods behind someone's backyard, trading what I had to survive. My body, my soul. Florida's highways became my home. Lonely, hot, and unforgiving stretches of asphalt where no one ever asked where you came from, just where you were going. I'd stand near the exits, thumb out, makeup on, pretending I had a destination. But the truth was, I had nowhere left to go. Most of the time, the men were polite. They'd pick me up, we'd talk a little, do what they wanted, and I'd be gone before they even zipped up. But sometimes, I could see it in their eyes the moment I got in. That look, the one that told me they weren't planning on letting me leave. And that's when something inside me would snap. The first time was in 1989. A man named Richard. He offered me money and a warm meal. He took me deep into the woods, and then his hands changed. They weren't kind anymore. They weren't careful. He tied me up, beat me, and laughed while he did it. But he made one mistake. He looked away. I shot him, over and over. I don't remember how many times. I just remember the silence afterwards. No birds, no wind, just my heartbeat pounding like a war drum in my ears. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I took his car, his cash, and I left. After that, the fear was always there. Every time I got into another car, I remembered his hands, and I started to think, what if they're all like him? What if every single one of them is just waiting to snap? So I didn't wait. I got in, I smiled, I listened, and if something didn't feel right, I acted first. 7 men, that's what they say. 7 lives taken on Florida's highways between 1989 and 1990. They weren't all bad, maybe. Some of them probably would have dropped me off safely, but after the first, I couldn't tell anymore. The line between danger and safety blurred until it vanished completely. They called it murder. I called it survival. They caught me in 1991, sitting in a biker bar, drinking cheap beer and pretending like I still had a future. My so-called best friend turned on me. They said I was evil, cold-blooded, that I hunted men like animals. But they never talked about the nights I spent crying under freeway bridges, the scars that never healed, the voices that wouldn't stop. I sat on death row for over a decade. They studied me like I was a lab rat, dissecting my past, my mind, my choices. In the end, it didn't matter. The world had already decided who I was. I was executed in 2002. They asked if I had any last words. I said, I'll be back, like Independence Day, with Jesus, big mothership and all. I'll be back, and maybe I will. Maybe one day when you're driving down a dark Florida highway, all alone, you'll see a woman by the side of the road, blonde, pale, eyes like mine. You'll slow down, she'll smile, and you'll remember this story just a second too late. Eileen Warnos. This happened just last night. I was driving home from Bellingham, Washington, and made what I now realize was a terrible decision. I chose to take the back roads instead of the freeway. I'd been tired all day, and the thought of dealing with fast-moving traffic on the highway at night didn't sound great. I figured the scenic route would be more peaceful, more relaxing. It wasn't. Most of the drive was uneventful, quiet even, but there were 4 moments that genuinely creeped me out. and the last one still has me rattled. I don't know if it was paranormal or just someone messing with me, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. The first thing was just weird. At one point, I glanced up at my rearview mirror and I saw a strange light trailing behind me. It wasn't normal headlights. It was too bright and felt off. I figured maybe it was a car coming up on the road, but just as I started paying attention, the light suddenly shut off. Gone. Like someone flipped a switch. Maybe it was just headlights. Maybe it was a reflection or something. But it stuck with me. Something about how sudden it vanished didn't sit right. Not long after, I came around a bend and something on the tree line caught my eye. A shadow. It looked like it was moving, like something was running alongside me for a moment. Just for a second, but clear enough for my brain to register it before I told myself it had to be nothing. Still, for that brief half second, it looked human, or at least shaped like it. I shook it off, kept driving. Around twilight, when the last bit of sun was disappearing, I passed a man walking down the side of the road. He looked homeless, dragging a little wagon behind him. He wasn't doing anything, just walking. But the fact we were in the absolute middle of nowhere made it feel wrong. There were no towns nearby, no houses, just woods and darkness. He didn't even look at me when I passed, but I still got this cold, sinking feeling in my stomach. Something about him didn't feel like he belonged there. This next part, this is where it went from creepy to straight up terrifying. It was fully dark by now. I was still about an hour from home, driving through a forested stretch with no lights, no houses, just miles of trees on either side. I looked down at my phone to skip a song, maybe 2 seconds max, and when I looked up, I saw headlights in my rearview mirror. Close headlights. Whoever it was had come out of nowhere. I hadn't seen them behind me before, and now, suddenly, they were practically on my bumper. I was doing 40 miles per hour, so I sped up to 60, figuring they'd either pass me or back off. But they didn't. They stayed right behind me, way too close. So I sped up again, 75, maybe even 80. Still there. I started panicking. Out here, people don't tailgate like they do on the freeway. It felt aggressive, like they were trying to push me to do something. Then I saw a turn up ahead. I couldn't take it at 80. I slammed the brakes. The car behind me almost rear-ended me. Then, and I don't know if they thought I brake-checked them or what, they sped up even more and started swerving behind me, like they were trying to intimidate me. Or worse. I genuinely thought that was it. I thought I was either going to crash or get run off the road by some psycho. But then, just as suddenly as they showed up, they turned. Their blinker came on, they made a right turn and disappeared down another road. No explanation, no sign of them again, just gone. It felt like something out of a movie, like I was being hunted for no reason. I still don't know what they wanted, if they were just messing with me or if something way worse could have happened if I didn't speed up. All I know is, I'm never taking the back roads at night again. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend. Back roads of Washington? Yeah, they're cursed.